Okay, guys, so we're going to go over fractions today. We're going to be comparing fractions. But before we do that, we need to go over some things that we've learned last week. So who can tell me what the numerator is of a fraction?
The top part?
Allie, what's the numerator?
The top part.
The top part, and it usually tells us how much is shaded or how much is eaten, something like that, right? The denominator is going to tell us what, Evangeline?
The total of the parts.
Good, the total number of parts, okay? So if you're talking about a pizza, the denominator is the total number of pieces in the pizza, okay? Who remembers what a unit fraction is? Unit fraction. Kelsey, what is that?
A unit fraction is a fraction with a numerator of 1/4, 1/8, 1/10.
Good. She said a fraction with a numerator of 1. So 1/4, 1/8, 1/10. Those are all unit fractions.
And 100.
Okay, so let's find a new page in your spiral. And we're going to put the title, Compare Fractions. Okay, so by compare, we mean we're using these symbols today. What does this one mean?
Oh, that's a...
Let's see if somebody at home knows. Anybody at home know what that symbol means? What does it mean, Bryson?
This is like the bigger number. Like the greater than. Yeah.
Okay. Greater than. All right, Cora, I saw your hand go up. Is that what you were going to say? Greater than? Okay, good. This one.
Ooh. Less than.
Less than. And the last one, equal.
Oh, that's...
Okay, so today we're only comparing fractions that have the same denominator, which actually makes it really easy. So let me show you an example. If I have 3/8 and 5/8 that I want to compare, let's just draw a model. Let's say this is Aaliyah and Javea. Let's show what those pieces would look like. Now it's important that our wholes are equal, so if you can, try your best to make your two whole, we'll just call these pizzas, look equal, okay? They want to try to be equal wholes. And we're going to split it into how many pieces, Allie?
3, 8, 8.
8.
Then...
Okay, so we're going to cut it into 8 pieces. And then same thing, try the best you can to make them equal. So we do a cross or a T, whatever you want to call it.
Then make an X.
And then an X. And trying to cut those pieces in half that you're cutting through.
Then...
Allie, why aren't you drawing? You need to be drawing. Okay, so a T and then an X.
Then they cross out 3, 4, then they cross
Hold
out.
on, we're not there yet, Allie. So for Aaliyah's pizza, if she eats 3/8, then I need to do what to this model? Shade in 3. And Javea's would be shading in 5. Okay. Okay, now we're going to put the symbol in between. So if Aaliyah eats 3/8 and Javea eats 5/8, who is eating more?
5/8.
Javea, right. She ate 5 pieces. Aaliyah only ate 3. So our symbol needs to be pointed towards this one, right? The bigger one. The mouth wants to eat the bigger amount. Okay? You can even draw the little teeth in there to remember that alligator mouth wants to eat the bigger fraction. Okay? That's what we're going to be working on today. Pretty easy, right? So really all you need to look at is the numerator. Javea ate 5 out of 8, so that's bigger than 3. 5 is bigger, so it's 5/8 is greater than 3/8. Okay? That's the only notes we're going to take for today in our spiral, so you can set that to the side. And now we're looking at page 69 in your books. Everybody good so
Are each making a quilt block. Both blocks are the same size and both are made of 4 equal size squares. 2/4 of Jeremy's squares are green. 1/4 of Christina's squares are green. Whose quilt block has more green squares?
Okay, so let's underline the question. Whose quilt block has more green squares?
Jeremy.
So we're trying to figure out if Jeremy has more green or Christina. So let's go over here to Jeremy's quilt and shade in the fraction he has, which is how much?
2.
2/4.
1, 2.
Okay. Christina has 1/4, so we only need to shade in 1 piece. Now we're going to compare the shaded parts. So who has more, Jeremy or Christina? Jeremy.
She has more.
No, more green blocks, more that we shaded in. So Jeremy has 2 shaded, Christina only has 1. Okay, so our symbol needs to be pointed towards 2/4. The mouth needs to be eating 2/4. Okay, so 2/4 is greater than 1/4. Okay, let's go down to the next comparison. We have Jen and Maggie now that we're comparing. Jen and Maggie each have 6 buttons. Shade 3 of Jen's buttons to show the number of buttons that are red. Shade 5 of Maggie's buttons to show the number that are red. Okay, so let's do that. Jen, we need to shade 3. And Maggie, 5. Okay, now over here, what fraction of Jen's buttons are red? Or in this case, shaded green. because I used green markers. So what fraction will we write for Jen's buttons? 3/6. Good. Those of you at home, if you want to unmute your microphone, you can to call out an answer. Okay, so for Maggie's buttons, 5/6. Good. Okay, so since the denominators are the same, they both have 6, all we need to do is look at the top to figure out who has more red buttons. 3 or 5? 5. Okay, so 3 is less than 5. So 3/6 is less than 5/6. So who has the greater fraction? Maggie. Good. Maggie has 5/6. Okay, pretty easy, right?
Yeah, is there outside?
Okay, I'll go ahead and flip the page. So we've looked at circles, we've looked at buttons, we've looked at just models like this. Now we're going to look at a number line. How can we tell which fraction is greater on a number line? Well, as you go to the right on a number line, what happens to the numbers? As you go to the right, which is this direction, they get greater. Good. So the bigger fractions are going to be over here towards this side. The smaller fraction would be on the left, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and read this word problem, and we're going to do it using the number line. Kaylee, you want to read? At the craft store.
At the craft store, one piece of ribbon is 2/8 yards long. Another piece of ribbon is 7/8 yards long. Which piece of ribbon is longer?
Okay, so we want to know which piece of ribbon is longer, 2/8 or 7/8. So we're going to shade in 2/8. And then let's label it on the number line. Where would 2/8 go on the number line now? The second line. Good, Kaylee. So this would be 1/8, 2/8. Okay, now 7/8. So I would shade all of them, right, except for 1. Okay, and now we should label it on our number line too, right here, 7/8. Okay, so since 7/8 is further down the number line, what does that mean?
It's greater.
It's greater. Good, Allie. It's close to a whole, right? It's not a whole. There's one piece left over, but it's really close to the whole ribbon. Okay? So now we need to compare them. Go over here underneath the number line where it has the symbols already for us. How would I read this symbol right here? Bryson, you know? Nope. Less than. So which fraction is less? 2/8. So I need to put 2/8 on this side. 2/8 is less than 7/8. And blank is, how would I read that?
7/8 greater
greater than. So 7/8 is greater than
2/8.
2/8. Okay, so just remember, if it's further down the number line to the right, then that means it's greater. Okay, if it's on the left, it's less. Okay, let's go to number 1. Let's see then. It says draw points on the number line to show 1/6 and 5/6, then compare the fractions. Okay, so let's draw points for 1/6 and 5/6. Now, how would we compare these? Raise your hand if you know. You know? Kelsey? Anybody at home know?
You would put
How would we compare these right here?
1/6 is less than 5/6.
Good. 1/6 is less than 5/6. We need to make sure we write the symbol correctly. It needs to go this way.
Right to it.
Okay? Alright, I want you guys to try numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 on your own. Okay? And then we're going to come back and check to see if you got them right. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so for number 2, all you have to do is look at the numerators, which is the top. 4 and 3. Which number is greater, 4 or 3?
4.
4. So our mouth wants to eat that bigger fraction. So this is greater. So I want my mouth to be open towards that bigger number. So I would read this as 4/8 is greater than 3/8. Okay? Same thing. Number 3, you only want to look at the numerators. I have 1 and 4. 4/4 is greater. It is a whole. Good. So your mouth wants to be open towards that bigger fraction. So I would read this as 1/4 is less than 4/4. Good. Number 4, they're exactly the same, so that means they're equal. And number 5, I have 3 and 2 on top. So 3 is greater than 2. Okay? Now word problems. Number 6. Carlos finished 5/8 of his art project on Monday. Tyler finished 7/8 of his art project on Monday. Who finished more of his art project on Monday? So let's underline the question. It's asking us who finished more of his art project on Monday. Okay? So I have Carlos who finished 5/8 and Tyler who finished 7/8. Who finished more?
Tyler.
Good, because 5/8 is less than 7/8. Okay, so the person who finished more, which is 7/8, would be Tyler. So we have to make sure we're answering the question. They wanted who, so we need to answer with a person. Tyler. Okay, number 7. Mallory picked 4 roses for her mother. 1/4 of the roses are pink, and 3/4 of the roses are red. Are there more pink roses or red roses? Okay, so 1/4 we're comparing with 3/4. 1/4 represents the number of pink. 3/4 represents the number of red. So which way would my symbol go? Hold your hands up to show me. Should it go like this or like this? Good. The mouth wants to be open towards 3/4. So are there more pink or red?
Red.
Red. Good, because 3/4 is greater. Three-fourths is greater than 1/4, so there's more red. Okay, number 8. Lauren ran 7/8 of a mile in a race. Jacob ran 5/8 of a mile. Draw points on the number line to show 7/8 and 5/8. Then compare the fraction. So we should put a point on 5/8 and 7/8. Can we tell which one's greater on the number line?
Ooh,
Bryson, what do you think? 7/8 is greater because it's further down the line, right? Okay, so if I go over here, which way should my symbol go? Okay, good. I see your hands. This way. The mouth wants to be open towards the bigger fraction. 7 is greater than 5. So 7/8 is greater than 5/8. Okay. Number 9. What's the error? Error means a mistake, right? So we're looking for a mistake. Gary and Vanessa are comparing fractions. Vanessa models 2/4 and Gary models 3/4. Vanessa writes 3/4 is greater than 2/4. Look at Gary's model and Vanessa's model and find her error. So what did they do wrong?
Ooh.
Allie, you see something wrong?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with it?
It says they ate 3, and it says there's 4, but there's only 3. And the Vanessa's model and Vanessa's model is, they said she eats 2.
Yes, Vanessa eats 2/4
And
or
there's
has 2/4.
no 4 of the things.
Well, there doesn't have to be
The boxes.
4 necessarily. But what do you notice about Gary's model and Vanessa's model? Anybody at home? No? Can we compare fractions if the pieces are not the same size? Can we compare 2/4 and 3/4 if the wholes are not the same?
I know.
No or yes?
Yeah.
Kelsey?
The top one, the pink, the orange one, on Gary's and Vanessa's, they don't have like a cut up piece, and like because it's just empty, and they don't have a cut up piece like 1/4 or something.
I don't understand what you're saying, but she's showing 2/4. Okay, so if you went ahead and tried to match it right here with the hole, you would see 2 left over. Okay, but if I take Gary's pieces and go like this over here to match them up, it doesn't really look like 3/4 is greater, does it? Why does his pieces look smaller? Is his model wrong or correct? Their models cannot have 2 different size pieces. Okay? So if I shade in 1/4 right here, does this 1/4 match this 1/4?
No.
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 The pieces have to match each other. Okay? If you're talking about fourths, then both of those 1/4 pieces need to be equal. And do these 1/4 pieces that I shaded look equal? No, they don't look equal. So you can't compare them if the pieces are not equal. Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see if I took this 3/4 and I lined it up over here, it doesn't look like 3/4 is greater when we know it is. Okay, it looks like 3/4 is less because the pieces are not equal to her pieces. Okay, we don't need to write all that, but you just need to know your pieces, you cannot compare them unless they are the same size. That's why when we drew the circles in our notebooks, we had to make sure that they were the same exact size. Okay? Okay, now flip the page. Last thing we're going to do, and then you guys are going to be on your own to finish your assignment today. 10, 11, 12, 13. We're going to do these on our own. So those of you in the at home, you can be doing this on your own too. And then we'll come back and check it together. Okay? If you have a question, just raise your hand and I will be happy to help you. Okay, let's start with number 10. At a car show, 4/8 of the cars are red. A smaller fraction of the cars are black. Which could be the fraction of the cars that are black? Okay, so we're looking for a fraction that's what? Smaller or greater?
Greater.
Smaller than 4/8. Okay, well we know it definitely can't be A because 4/8 is equal. Yeah. Okay, what about 2/8?
Yeah.
Could that be smaller?
Yes.
Yes. What about 8/8?
Oh, it's greater.
It's greater.
And D is greater too.
Okay, D is greater too. Good. B was the only one that was smaller than 4/8. Okay, number 11, which fraction makes the statement true? Well, you've got to know how to read the symbols, guys. So 2/6 is, how would I read this symbol? Greater than. Good, because the mouth is open towards it. We would read this as greater than. Okay, 2/6 is greater than. So over here I need to find a fraction that's smaller, right? We're finding one that's smaller than 2/6 because 2/6 has to be greater. If you need to, plug in every fraction and make sure it makes sense. If I put 3/6 over here, is that going to be correct? 2/6 is greater than 3/6. Is that true? No, that's not true. Okay, B, if I put 2/6 in there, is 2/6 greater than 2/6? No, not true. They're equal. Okay, if I put 5/6 in there, 2/6 is greater than 5/6? No. 1/6? Yes. 2/6 is greater than 1/6. Okay, here's the one we all got stuck on. There are two same size scarves. Joe's scarf is divided into 4 equal sections. 3 of the sections are blue. A greater fraction of Morgan's scarf is blue. Which could be the fraction of Morgan's scarf that is blue? Okay, so when I walked around, I didn't see anybody that had a picture drawn to help them. Okay, let's draw Joe, and he's got a scarf. It's cut into how many pieces?
It's cut into 4.
4. So I need to try my best to cut it into 4 equal pieces. And then the same thing for Morgan. Okay, and I labeled it with the J and the M for Joe and Morgan. Okay, so for Joe's scarf, how many sections should I shade in?
2.
No, why would we do 2? Read the problem. Read the problem. What does it say? Allie?
4.
No. 3 of the sections are blue. So we need to shade 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? A greater fraction of Morgan's scarf is blue. Okay, so can I shade 1/4? Is that greater? No. 2/4. Is that greater? Okay, I'm canceling those out too. 3/4. Is that greater? It's not greater. It's what?
Less than.
It's equal. So it can't be 3/4. If I shade in all of it, which is how much? 4/4. Is that greater?
Yes.
Yes. Greater fraction is what they were looking for. The only one that was greater was A, 4/4. Did it help to draw a picture? Yes. So draw a picture when you get stuck, okay? Number 13, Todd and Lisa are comparing fraction strips. Which statement is not correct? Again, you have to know how to read these symbols. Okay? So how would I read this one? Javea? Good. 1/4 is less than 4/4. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes. So we put a T for true. But we're looking for the one that's not correct. B, how would I read this, Evangeline? 5/6 is less than 4/6. Well, is that true? Is 5 less than 4? No, not true. So B would have been your correct answer. Let's go ahead and look at the other ones. 2/3, how would I read this, Bryson? 2/3 is good, greater than, and that is true because 2 is greater than 1. Okay. D, 5/8 is, everybody call it out. Greater than. Is that true? Yes, because 5 is greater than 4. Okay. All right, are there any questions on comparing fractions? When the denominators are the same, it's pretty easy because you just need to look at the numerator. Okay? Anybody at home have a question before we sign off?
No.